Hi everyone, welcome to the Project Bold Life series. We're so happy to have you here today with us. I am here with Sara Margulis, and she is the CEO and founder of Honeyfund. Honeyfund is the #1 honeymoon and wedding registry app. Hi Sara, so glad to have you here with us today. And good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you, Donna. I'm so happy to be here.
So before we get started, I have lots of questions for you, but can you just tell everybody a little bit more about Honeyfund and what it is exactly you do?
Yeah, so Honeyfund is a wedding registry where couples can have parts of their honeymoon funded as a wedding gift. So imagine things like swimming with dolphins, a romantic meal on the beach, maybe a romantic dinner cruise down the Seine River in Paris. I mean, really the world is your oyster when you go on your honeymoon, right? And you want to experience all that you can when you go. And it turns out that wedding guests love this idea. They love to make an experience happen for couples versus going and buying more towels or sheets or kitchenware. So, over the last 12 years, we've funded more than $800 million in dream honeymoons for couples.
Okay, so where were you when I got married? I got married a while ago, but this would have been amazing. I would have done this for sure.
We launched in 2006.
Yeah, no.
We created Honeyfund on a couch. This color looked a lot like this, and we just grew like little by little, year over year. Josh worked at Adobe as a software engineer, and later he became a sales engineer. And I was having babies. Honeyfund was our first baby, but then we had a daughter and a son, and it just kind of grew on itself. And that was really one of the coolest and most surprising facets of the company, of the business, was that everyone who signs up invites 150 of their closest friends and family to the page, right? Yeah. So we were getting all this viral marketing.
I was going to say, great marketing.
Completely for free. And I mean, I had an MBA in marketing, but I'm not going to say I was smart enough to realize beforehand what a blessing that would be. So
how did it start though? So, I mean, you're telling me, so from starting, it's growing, it's doing amazing, but how did you even come up with the idea for this business?
Yeah, so Josh and I were, my husband and co-founder, we were living together in a studio flat in San Francisco. We had everything we needed for our home, our small home, and we had this dream of going to Fiji. And even before we got engaged and married, we knew we wanted to take a trip there someday. It just sounded so exotic and beautiful and peaceful. And, when you're dealing with the everyday stress of full-time jobs and, things that happen day in and day out, we just wanted a break. And so when we got engaged, we knew immediately we were going to Fiji. And we'd heard of the concept of a honeymoon registry. It was very new at the time. We'd heard of it. And we went out looking for websites to do it. And nothing really met our needs. The sites were outdated. They were expensive to use, like 9% in fees, which we felt that would have amounted to a whole night on our honeymoon. And we felt that was unacceptable, even for the web standards of 2005 when we were planning our wedding. Things were free, Google was free and Yahoo was free and even Flickr was free, and like the things that we used at the time, it just seemed like it wasn't right to charge that much. So Josh is a software engineer. He created a simple wedding website for our wedding and a wish list for our honeymoon. And our wedding guests, literally he built a way for them to like claim an item and like pledge it to us. And then they would write us checks and put it in the mail or bring it to the wedding. And we ended up with more than $5,000 for our dream honeymoon to Fiji. And it was everything we could have hoped it would be and more. And because of the feedback of our wedding guests and the enthusiasm and the generosity that they showed, we knew it was a winner. So we started Honeyfund.
Yeah, you knew right away when everybody was saying how great of an idea it was.
We were the test case.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you were the test case for this business that's now thriving. That's wonderful. So you mentioned your husband, Josh. What is it like working side by side with your husband?
It can be very challenging sometimes. Actually, for most of the time that we've run Honeyfund, it's been really easy and really fun. And especially in the early years when it was just the two of us, it was a way for us to be creative together and a way for us to build our dream life. We had the idea, the naive idea being entrepreneurs, that it would be like passive income. Like we would just build it and it would work. And we would just sit back and relax and we would have all the freedom and, and be able to take our kids to school and be there after school for them. And in a lot of ways, being an entrepreneur has afforded us that lifestyle. But as we grew and as we started hiring people and things, that's when really things become more challenging. So I give Josh all the credit because he's just so patient and so gracious when my head's spinning around.
That's what I think we talked about this a little bit, but my husband and I work together too, and we launched 2 companies together, and people always say, how do you do it? And for us, it just worked. And I think it's just the personalities where I'm a little bit more, maybe like you said, I crazy and we have to do it right now. And he's a little more calm and says, okay, listen, let's calm down for a second.
Right.
Let's think what we have to do. And so our personalities really work together, but it's been fun. I loved it. It sounds like you love it as well. So that's nice to hear for all those people out there. They're thinking about it. It can work. It can work.
And for me, really, the best moments have been the moments when I saw him shine, because I'm always out here doing the interviews and being the face of the company, and he often sits back. But for example, when we went on Shark Tank, he stood there next to me and he jumped in when I was stumbling over my words, and I just remember looking at him and being like, I am so glad you are here. Having a partner is everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was my next question. I have to ask you about Shark Tank.
Yeah.
So you went on Shark Tank and you won a deal.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
Oh, that was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done. And people ask me all the time, don't you get nervous being on camera? And I'm like, not after Shark Tank. If I can do that, I can do anything when it comes to media. So, everything from applying to the show, we actually were invited to apply. So that was a really cool part of our story, that somebody in the Shark Tank crew had used Honeyfund as a wedding guest and recommended it to casting, and then they reached out to us, and I had never seen the show. I don't watch reality TV, so I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. The only shows I'd really seen on business and stuff was The Apprentice, and I was like, I would never put myself in that situation. I give you so much props for that. But then we watched the show and we realized, oh, this is a very unique reality show, and it's a real thing.
Very professional, and yes.
Friday night, 7 million viewers. How can you say no to that opportunity for your brand? Especially where Honeyfund was, we'd already raised $200 million for couples, and we knew that we had that viral marketing engine was really starting to go, and we knew that it would just be a great catalyst for our growth. So even if we didn't get a deal.
Right. So Kevin O'Leary, right? So he's the one that says, yes, I'm in. Yeah. And so how has it been working with him, and how has it helped?
It's been, working with Kevin has been a really great experience, not just because he brings so much media prowess and he brings us, access to his social media and more interview opportunities and all kinds of great stuff, and of course business advice. But working with somebody at Kevin's level, I feel has really elevated me in my game as an entrepreneur and as a businesswoman, right? So there's a difference between starting something on the side and kind of making it successful and actually stepping into a business role. And for me, Kevin has been a really good, he's pushed me to be, even without even realizing it, just negotiating with him to close the deal that we made on camera, I had to really rise up and operate at a new level that I hadn't been before. And then, the people that work with him, watching them and getting to know them and becoming sort of part of their family, you have all these great people around you all of a sudden, all the time, that are doing amazing things. And it just makes you realize okay, I see how this works. I don't have to be afraid or not know what I'm doing here, because I always have their expertise and advice at my fingertips. And so it's just been so much more than I ever could have imagined.
So if there are entrepreneurs out there thinking they want to go on Shark Tank, would there be one piece of advice that you would give them before they went on?
Yes, you have to know your numbers. You have to understand your business the way an investor will think about your business. And this is one of the biggest leaps that you can make as an entrepreneur trying to become a successful business, is understanding how investors are going to look at your business. And it's a double-edged sword, because you become successful as an entrepreneur because all you're thinking about is your customer, and all you care about is solving that problem that burned inside you that you felt needed to be solved. But at some point, if you want to grow, you have to think about the business the way an investor would think about it. And going on Shark Tank is the best way to kind of push yourself to make that happen. And really pitching to any investor is the best way to do that. So whether it's Shark Tank or just going to a meeting in Silicon Valley, or just pitching it to your uncle who works at an M&A firm, go through that experience. Put yourself through that, because it makes you prepare yourself to be able to talk about your business to investors, and that's invaluable.
Yep, and I'd have to agree with you. Every time we went out and pitched the business, you learn more about yourself, more about your business. They ask you questions that maybe you didn't think about before, and you're like, oh, yes, I need to know that. And
it's and look, we handle so much all day, every day. We can't possibly be wearing every hat, right? I can't be wearing the CFO hat and the CEO hat and the mom hat and the investor hat, and I only have so much brain capacity in an 12-hour period that I'm awake every day, or whatever it is, 16 hours. So you have to keep learning. You have to keep exposing yourself to different situations, and don't expect yourself to know it all.
And I think learn as you go.
Learn as you go. I read a quote recently that said, like, you do your best until you know better, and then when you know better, you do better.
I like that. So you mentioned the mom hat. I have to go there. So we both have 2 little kids. They're the exact same age pretty much, and we're both entrepreneurs. What has that experience been like for you, and how do you do it all? How are you a wife, an entrepreneur, you're running a company, and then you have 2 little kids at home?
For me, it's really been about making the time for my kids sacred. So I don't, I'm not going to do it all every day, and I'm not going to be the best businesswoman I can be every single day, because I need to make time for my family and my kids, and that's okay with me. I wasn't put on this earth to make Honeyfund a bajillion-dollar company and be a Sarah Blakely or an Oprah. That's not what I'm here for. A lot of what I'm here for is to raise those kids and make sure that they're happy and healthy. And that the reason I started Honeyfund was to have a more flexible life so I could be there for my kids. So if I turn my back on that now, I'm really going against the whole reason I became an entrepreneur in the first place, and I'm not willing to do that. And so I think it's just reminding yourself every day why you're here.
Right, and you have to find somehow that balance and what's important and know what matters, right, and spend the time on those things that matter.
That you can put rules in place for your life, like, okay, my phone is not at the dinner table. Or I pick up my kids at least 1 day a week from school and spend the afternoon with them, and I don't work during that time. You just have to put those boundaries in place so that the time you are spending with your kids is quality.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% agree with you. And I was going to ask you about your advice for female entrepreneurs, but I think you kind of just gave it, unless there's something else. But
if you're not a mom, I would say the biggest advice I have is believing in yourself. And we get a lot of messages from our culture from the time we're little girls about how we should be, the way we should behave, the way we should talk about ourselves or not talk about ourselves. And in a lot of ways, if you want to be bold and start something on your own, you have to be able to let that go and write your own story, right? And we tell ourselves a lot of stories every day about why we do what we do. And when we face challenges, we feel bad, we feel guilty, we feel like we could have done that better, I should have known. And the negative self-talk can start to overcome the belief in yourself if you're not careful. So I actually recently just put a little mirror by my bedside, and every night I look at myself in the mirror and I say, you're a good person, you're doing a good job. I'm gonna start crying. Because it's important.
Okay, I love this. So, I have a book out, and one of the things I talk about is you have to talk to yourself in a way that you would talk to your best friend, right? Yes. Because we're constantly telling ourselves we're not good enough, we should have done it better, we feel guilty. And no, we have to stop for a second and say, look what we're doing. Look what we're doing. We're amazing. We just, we can do it all, but we have to be realistic, and we have to be our biggest cheerleader, right? Personally, we have to be our own biggest cheerleader. So,
and then you have to take that and give it to the world too. It's like what the whole principle of like what goes around comes around, right? Like if I'm talking negatively to myself, then I'm talking negatively outwardly too, and that doesn't help meet my objectives. It doesn't help my family. It doesn't help my employees. It doesn't help my company. It doesn't help my customers. So it really all starts in here. And I think we hear that all the time, like from Deepak Chopra and Oprah and all these people. We hear like you have to love yourself first, and it kind of sounds all like airy fairy and special. But like when the rubber meets the road, damn it, it's true. You got to do it.
And I think so. I know you have a daughter, and I have a daughter, and I think it's important for them to see that we are kind to ourselves, because I think it's very difficult for them. Growing up, and I would say they're in even a more difficult environment than maybe we were, with all the social media and everything going on nowadays at such young ages. But I want them to see that you have to be happy with where you're at and who you are, and that's how you really do become successful and a happy person, along the way. So I love it. But so I like that you're getting emotional about it, because it is an emotional thing. I think it's extremely important. So. So I hear you have some exciting partnerships happening at Honeyfund. I don't know if you can talk about them yet, but if you can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, I'd love to. So in February, we partnered with Target, and now you can register for honeymoon funds on your Target registry, your online registry, which is really exciting because not only does it empower couples who are interested in this to really know that it's like a mainstream thing now, and it's accepted, but also it puts the Honeyfund brand in front of a lot of new users that we would potentially not have access to before. So so this is great. And in a world, I mean, in the world of online business, you know, you hear horror stories all the time where, like, you know, this company was doing this amazing thing, you know, buying and selling products on Amazon's store, and then Amazon changes their algorithm and they're out of business in a week, right? Well, for Honeyfund, you know, we recently kind of went up against a battle with our Google listing, and it really did affect, you know, how much traffic we're getting every day. And it, you know, was a change that Google made to favor, you know, articles about what's the best honeymoon registry instead of just putting the best ones up there, right? And we're the best. So the fact that we got, you know, demoted in the listings was like a big deal, right? So what do you do? You know, thank God, you know, we were able to put our brand on Target, which is the 84th biggest website in the country. Yeah. So, you know, you have to come up with, sometimes you don't even know how it happened. It's by the grace of God, but you come up with a way to respond to some of the biggest challenges you face. Yeah,
but you don't want all your eggs in one basket, like you said. So being able to have different partnerships that can help you along the way. Yeah.
And then we took that and as inspiration to go out and diversify all of our marketing. Yeah. So now we're partnering with, you know, Loverly and, you know, other like wedding blogs, you know, like sign up for a Honeyfund, you know, when you download this printable thing from Wedding Chicks, or, you know, partnering with similar size sites that have like a slightly different audience than us and doing trade, like email trades. You know, there's so much you can do and this is why I love being an entrepreneur as a businesswoman. Having the spirit of entrepreneurship and scrappiness inside me makes me do things that my competitors won't think of because they're big, well-funded companies who have all the money to spend, and like they're going to burn through so much figuring out the same thing I did just because I have to be scrappy.
Right, and you can move quick too. So because it's your decision, you make the decision, you can move quick.
Exactly.
So as you know, Project Bold Life is all about living this very inspirational, you know, life that's about having purpose and being as successful, but being also, you know, taking the time in all these other areas of your life and not just focusing on one thing, but focusing on all the things that matter. Yeah. So what does it mean to you to live bold?
Oh gosh, you know, I think we touched on a lot of it. Loving yourself. Yeah. Why does that have to be something that's bold? I don't know, but it is in this culture, and we just have to accept that. I think it also means playing by your own rules and, you know, not letting society tell you what you should or shouldn't be or should or shouldn't do. I mean, you know, there's a million reasons why I could just say today, you know what, there's too many big companies trying to compete with us. We don't have, you know, all the resources they have. Let's just close the doors on it. But, you know, why would I do that? Like, I've grown this, it's been 12 years of my life. Like, I'm going to go out on top. You know? Yes. So I think, you know, just that like belief in like what you created, and that there's like that you have to go through your whole story. You know, being bold means going through the whole thing. Like, you know, for example, like you see people every day getting divorced, right? And why do they get divorced? Because they have affairs or things happen. But like, they don't finish the marriage. They just jump into the next thing, you know, because it's hard. And the next thing is new and shiny and exciting. Well, when you're in a marriage and you started it, you got to finish it, right? Or just anything else, a job, you know, I have a job that I want to leave, I'm miserable, whatever. Well, finish it first and then go start something else, you know? So I think being bold sometimes means doing the hard thing.
Oh, I like that. Yes, absolutely makes sense. Well, this was wonderful. It was so great to talk to you. I feel like, I don't know, we're on the same page, but also you gave so much great advice for everybody out there who, whether they're a mom, not a mom, whether men, women, just anybody thinking to start a business. So I think it was wonderful. If someone wants to go on Honeyfund and find it and know more about it, where do they go?
Honeyfund.com, or you can download our app in the app stores. Or go to Target and register for your Honeyfund items there.
Thank you so much for being here today. I so appreciate it. Always wonderful to talk with you.
You as well. Thank you.